Hello Eve's Armchair family, apologies for the late upload. So we had a few technical issues last week, but it's all sorted now, so let's get right to it. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling emotionally drained even though nothing bad really happened? Like somehow someone else's mood, their problems, their expectations or their negativity stayed with you long after your interaction with them had ended? That's where emotional boundaries come in. And honestly, most people think boundaries are about pushing people away. But emotional boundaries are actually about protecting your peace without losing your kindness. For women especially, we're often taught to be available, to listen, to fix, to carry, to understand, to absorb. And over time, many of us become emotional sponges. We're soaking up everyone else's stress and issues while silently neglecting our own needs. But here's the truth. You can care deeply about people and still protect your energy. Now, an emotional boundary simply means I know where I end and where someone else's begins. And it's understanding that someone else's anxiety is not automatically your emergency. Someone else's disappointment is not your responsibility to fix. And someone else's inability to regulate their emotions should not cost you your mental peace. Now, this doesn't mean you have to become cold or detached. It simply means that you are becoming emotionally aware of what is happening around you. For example, have you noticed how some people only call you when they need emotional support? Or how certain conversations always leave you feeling exhausted and drained? Or how guilt shows up the moment you say no? And that's often a sign that your emotional boundaries need strengthening. The tricky thing is, people who benefit from your lack of boundaries may not like it when you start to create them, because the version of you that is constantly overextending themselves is convenient for them. But protecting your peace is not selfish. It's necessary. Think about it this way. If your phone battery is at 2%, what do? You stop the unnecessary apps from running. You plug it in and you recharge. How about emotionally? We keep running on empty, answering every call, holding every burden, explaining ourselves repeatedly, ignoring exhaustion until burnout becomes normal. Emotional boundaries are your emotional charger. And sometimes it may sound like, I'm not available for this conversation right now. I care about you, but I can't carry this for you. I need time to myself. Or even, can we do this another time? Simply choosing silence instead of reacting immediately. And one of the most powerful boundaries is not feeling obligated to explain every decision that you make, because peace often begins where over-explaining ends. Another important part of emotional boundaries is learning not to internalize everything. Not every criticism you get is the truth. Not everybody's opinion deserves access to your self-worth. And not every conflict requires your emotional participation. Mature peace is realizing that you don't have to attend every emotional battle you're invited to. So let's talk about social media for a second. We live in a world where people constantly compare their lives, their relationships, their bodies, their success, and their journeys without boundaries. So what is happening is you keep consuming so much noise that you lose connection with your own voice. So protecting your peace may sometimes mean log off, take a break, reduce access, choose privacy, or become more intentional about who gets emotional access to you. Because access is a privilege, it is not an entitlement. And importantly, healthy boundaries don't ruin relationships. They actually reveal which relationships are healthy. The right people around you might need time to adjust, but they will never punish you for respecting and choosing yourself. At first, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being the strong one, the helper, or the always available person. And it's normal. You may feel guilt. You may feel fearful that you're disappointing people. You may worry about seeming distant. But guilt is not always a sign that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's simply a sign that you're doing something differently. And differently is often where healing begins. So if you've been emotionally exhausted lately, if you've been carrying too much, if protecting everyone else has come at the cost of protecting yourself and at your expense, then maybe this is your reminder. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to say no without apology. And you are allowed to create emotional boundaries that protect your mental and your emotional well-being, because peace is valuable and not everyone deserves unlimited access to our peace. Protect it gently, protect it intentionally, and most importantly, protect it without guilt. Take care.